In a small village by the edge of the dark, mist-covered Shadow Pines forest, whispers of an ancient witch named Agatha filled every conversation. The villagers were terrified of her and the mysterious disappearances of those who ventured into the forest, believing she trapped or killed them with dark magic. The village lived in constant fear, knowing they were safe only by avoiding the woods. Roderic, a brave young man from the village, had recently lost his sister to the forest. She, like others before her, had gone missing after venturing too deep into Shadow Pines. Roderic couldn't sit idly by as more lives were taken. Determined to end the witch's reign of terror, he began making plans to confront Agatha in the heart of the forest. The village elder, an old woman who had witnessed the horrors of the witch's power, warned Roderic against going into the forest. She told him of Agatha's centuries of dark magic, her twisted home at the center of the woods, and how no one had ever returned. Still, Roderic was resolute. The elder gave him a talisman of protection and a silver sword, hoping he would succeed where others had failed. As the sun began to set, Roderic entered the forest, feeling the chill of the air and hearing the eerie stillness around him. The trees seemed to close in, their branches like reaching arms. He could feel Agatha's presence lurking in the shadows. Every step deeper into the woods brought him closer to the heart of the witch's domain. After hours of walking, Roderic finally reached the witch's hut. It was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Gnarled wood, twisted vines, and a palpable sense of evil emanating from the place. The smell of decay hung heavy in the air, and an unnatural fog surrounded the clearing. Standing at the door of the hut was Agatha, her pale eyes glowing with dark power. Roderic raised his sword, staring into the witch's glowing eyes. Agatha sneered at him, mocking his courage and calling him foolish. She warned him that no one had ever survived her wrath and that he would be no different. But Roderic refused to back down. He knew that this was the only way to save his sister and the village. With a flick of her wrist, the witch unleashed a wave of dark magic, causing the forest around them to stir violently. The trees groaned and reached for Roderic like monstrous hands. Agatha laughed, confident that her magic was too powerful for any man to defeat. But Roderic stood firm, gripping his silver sword tightly, knowing that her magic was tied to the very land itself. The battle raged as Roderic lunged at Agatha with his sword. The silver blade met her skin, but the witch's magic sent him sprawling to the ground with a violent burst of energy. As he struggled to rise, the talisman around his neck began to glow, protecting him from the worst of her attack. He knew he had little time and needed to act quickly. Gathering all his strength, Roderic plunged the silver sword into the ground at Agatha's feet. A blinding light exploded from the earth, and the air was filled with a deafening crack. The magic that Agatha had bound to the forest turned against her, unraveling the very powers she had spent centuries controlling. Agatha screamed in agony as the land betrayed her. With one final scream, Agatha's body dissolved into nothingness. The forest fell silent, the fog lifting as the first rays of sunlight broke through the trees. Roderic, breathing heavily, looked around. The witch was gone, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was watching him. As he turned to leave, he knew the forest would never be the same again, and that the witch's dark influence would linger in the shadows, hungry for more souls. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.